Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues and guests here today, maraming salamat po for letting this humble representation speak on behalf of our brothers and sisters of the electric cooperatives in Mindanao, who also have suffered great losses from the multiple devastating earthquakes. Our deepest empathies go out to the Mindanaoans whose lives were suddenly put to a halt and were left in a precarious state.
I stand before all of you today because I cannot bear to keep quiet on the plight of our people. An earthquake with magnitude 6.5 has raged above in different parts of Mindanao, causing casualties that continue to increase in number. We, the PowerBloc representatives of the rural electric cooperatives and member consumer owners, stand in solidarity with the victims of this catastrophe that led the death of more than 20 people, injury of more than 300, destruction of local communities, obliteration of national roads and infrastructure, and massive displacement of families.
When Typhoon Tisoy entered the Philippine area of responsibility, it is safe to say that it did not take to us by surprise. However, Typhoon Tisoy left a huge disaster aftermath to a number of our facilities. As per report from the National Disaster and Risk Reduction Management Council, the total affected population amounts to 225,964 families to be exact. Roughly, there are 464 persons in 1,819 barangays across Region 3, Region 5, Region 7, and CAR.
The PowerBloc also raised our desire to work with the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines in restoring and expanding the access of the people to electricity, especially in areas that need it the most. The privileged hour in Congress was availed of to tackle concerns that the PowerBloc is set to accomplish with the NGC. In October last year, earthquakes jolted Mindanao, which claimed lives and resulted in devastated homes and deranged public services. The goal of the movement goes beyond bringing power to the homes of the people and communities we serve. Under the leadership of the PowerBloc, we have continued to provide assistance to the MCOs affected by the earthquakes. In December, Typhoon Tisoy hammered some parts of the country. When we recognized that there were risks, we ensured that power was restored in the homes and communities affected by the typhoon. Task Force Power Restoration Rapid Deployment Teams were formed in order to assist the electric cooperatives whose areas were affected by Typhoon Tisoy. Relief operations were also conducted to provide assistance to the affected MCOs. During Christmas Eve, Typhoon Ursula made its rampage on the country's central islands. This unfortunate event did not stop the PowerBloc to provide assistance to our electric cooperatives and member consumer owners who were greatly affected. Task Force Power Restoration Rapid Deployment Teams were immediately sent to the affected areas. These trying times revealed so much about the rural electrification movement. Our linemen, our warriors of light, are to be honored for their relentless commitment to the advocacy. to ensure that the PowerBloc is relevant in national concerns and to ensure that we provide valuable inputs as necessary, committee hearings were also attended by the 4 representatives. The PowerBloc was also present during the strategic thinking activity of the EC Allied Organizations last December to provide inputs on how the existing allied organizations of the movement can further implement the current and future plans and programs of the PowerBloc. Despite the approval of Republic Act 11039, also known as the Electric Cooperatives Emergency and Resiliency Fund Act, the initial fund of 750 million pesos was not made available to NEA, the agency that will administer the said fund.
Today, I stand before everyone in this house and before all of our kababayans to appeal to our leadership for guidance and action in this crisis that we face. They need the kind of help that would enable them to restore their services to their member consumer owners. Our Filipino people, the kind of help that would help them get up on their feet. This brings me to my first point, Mr. Speaker. As national policymakers, serve as the pillars of strength of our people, especially in times of crisis. Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, this humble representation believes that one way to help our electric cooperatives and empower them to rise back up to their feet is to make sure that they have enough resources to do so. This brings me to my second point. When President Duterte signed Republic Act 11039, or the act creating the Electric Cooperatives Emergency Resiliency Fund in the same year, it was under the wisdom that the absence of electric services after a fortuitous event is a national security issue that must be addressed. This fund is created specifically for the use of electric cooperatives. This special fund also ensures that the electricity distribution will be more resilient. We have received information from the NEA, or the National Electrification Administration, that the initial 750 million peso funding as expressly stipulated in RA 11039 has never been transferred to them. What happened? What is happening? What will happen?
Denying the Filipino people of this kind of fund is a blatant disregard to the plight of our people. Denying the Filipino people what they deserve is a disrespect to their humanity and right to decent living condition and the right to immediately avail the convenience of electricity after a calamity.
This is why we call on the appropriate authorities to look into how we can make this fund finally available. This is us asking, begging the government to look into how we can make this fund.
The rehabilitation is taking its toll on our member consumer owners who are taking the brunt of loss of access to electricity. This could have been prevented, Mr. Speaker, if the long overdue Electric Cooperatives Emergency Resiliency Fund or the ECRF was released under Republic Act 11039.
I mentioned the Emergency and Resilience Fund for electric cooperatives because this is precisely the circumstance the law was preparing us for. This is why we, the 4 representatives of the electric cooperatives and member consumer owners, the warriors of lights, call on the national government, the National Electrification Administration, and other agencies tasked to make this mission possible for the swift disbursement of the Electric Cooperatives Emergency and Resiliency Fund. Let me just reiterate that reliable, continuous electricity as viewed by the lawmakers who created this law is indispensable to national security.
The rural electrification program is indeed a noble path as its goal of sustainable rural development is translated into a concrete action as electric cooperatives transform into nurturing communities who are at the forefront of leading or lending support to our countrymen.
We, the representatives of PRECA, Ricoboda, APEC, and Ako Pa Tayong Pilipino, stand hand in hand to shed light on the needs of electric cooperatives that we represent.
The gains we are now enjoying are just the tip of what is awaiting and will be available for us. Through the PowerBloc representatives, we were able to enjoy the frontline services of the government. The medical assistance program of the DOH is made available to the MCOs who are in need of assistance in their medical bills, procedure, and medicines. We were also able to secure medicines for distribution to different electric cooperatives nationwide. Through the Department of Welfare and Social Services, we were also able to provide more than 1 million pesos directly to MCOs who are in dire need of financial assistance due to calamities or other circumstances. With TUPAD, or Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa ating disadvantaged displaced workers, our MCOs were given the opportunity to have a temporary work program facilitated by our party lists. To symbolize the EC and MCO's unity toward a common advocacy, the party list representatives requested multipurpose buildings for the use of the ECs and MCOs. And through the efforts of the 4 PowerBloc representatives, on top of the availability of the ECERF, we were able to increase the budget of the National Electrification Administration's CTO Electrification Program by 236,325,000 pesos. The PowerBloc exhausted all avenues available to augment the national budget for rural electrification program through the National Electrification Administration. We reached out to fellow legislators. We called on the attention of other agencies. We gathered the support of fellow representatives. From the DPM proposed 1,531,263,000 budget, this amount was increased to 2,299,625,000 pesos in the General Appropriation Act of 2020. The lobbying led by the PowerBloc was instrumental in making this possible. And finally, the long-awaited funding for the ECERF is now a reality. With the approval of the General Appropriations Act of 2020 comes the approval of the 500 million pesos for the initial funding of the ECERF. With this development and availability of the fund, ECs would be able to immediately address power restoration during and after any calamity.
I owe this finest hour to the firstest people who endured with our movement, come hell or high water. Our board of directors, all of the 121 electric cooperatives situated in every corner of our country, our warriors of lights, our bold advocates of rural electrification, and of course, the catalyst behind this movement, our electric cooperative member consumer owners. Thank you for all your unwavering support. And thank you for not succumbing to this uphill battle. Ang One Easy MCO movement ay tulong-tulong, sama-sama at nagkakaisa para sa kapakanan at proteksyon ng ating mga member consumer owners. Kung hindi po dahil sa inyo, wala kami ngayon dito At kung hindi po para sa inyo, wala po kami ngayon dito. To you, our electric cooperative member consumer owners, you need to understand our power fully emanates from you. And all of this depend on your participation, on each of you accepting the responsibility of bringing us here. Ang lahat po ng ito ay dahil sa inyo at para sa inyo. But your responsibility does not conclude with you winning us sit here in Congress. That holds no merit if we are not to work hand in hand towards advancing our cause. And so we implore and encourage for your active participation. Let us continue to journey together.
The year 2019 made a very special mark in the One EC-MCO movement's history, as it decided to push for its advocacies by entering the political arena through the party list election. We sacrificed, we succeeded, we emerged as victors. One of our greatest achievements in the last quarter is the funding of the Electric Cooperatives Emergency and Resiliency Fund, or ECERF, which was never funded before fiscal year 2020. It now enjoys 500 million peso allocation, which will ensure that there is sufficient source of fund for the quick restoration of power during and after natural calamities. As our representatives continue to learn the ropes in Congress, they shall continue to defy expectations and surpass goals set for them for the next fiscal year. We will continue to reap the gains of our investments, not in monetary terms, but in terms of service and benefits for and to the ECs and MCOs. This victory could not have been realized without the efforts and support of those who have believed, are believing, and will continue to believe in the One EC-MCO movement and its advocacies. Finally, despite so many challenges that confront the movement, we urge you to continue to live up with our advocacies. United we stand united, because we will never be divided.